I have one word for you: consistency. And that's found in all cards of your deck. Of course, there's figuring out the balance of playing consistency cards versus other types of cards, but that's something I'll probably touch upon in a different video. Here, let's look at ways to make the cards keep on coming, especially when you need them the most. Number 1. Supporters. Supporter cards are the backbone to any good, consistent strategy. These red-colored cards, no, not those ones, so I wouldn't be opposed to them coming back after Pokemon TCG. These lovely folks from Pokemon games come in two flavor of cards: tech card and consistency. Tech options typically have a negative effect on your opponent or remove an effect from the field without getting anything from your deck. Consistency supporters, on the other hand, will always get cards from your deck, whether that's through drawing cards, shuffling to draw, or getting a specific few cards with a few restrictions attached. Players will typically have about 7 of those cards in their deck, unless your deck has a really busted consistency search option. In that case, numbers can fluctuate a lot. Decks that are super aggressive typically favor cards like Research, which lets them dig without having to worry about redrawing into old cards. In fact, some battle strategies love to discard certain cards, and Research is a great way to achieve that. On the other paw, slightly slower decks or decks with higher random tech cards may favor a shuffle draw card. In recent years, the great Pikachu has granted us this internet sensation, who lets all players bake the cake and eat it too, in a sense, allowing for greater dig without accidentally seeing the same cards again. But please don't take her and cards like N for granted. Not every format is lauded with such draw support diversity, so be grateful for the overabundance of choices. As for specific search cards, take them as they come. Scarlet and Violet Block is lucky with Arven and Colress's Tenacity as one of its specific search cards, with Arven and the new Colress combined being able to search out any A-spec from your deck, and Arven in particular being able to search out Buddy Buddy on a whim, and is a card that all decks can take advantage of, while other formats are blessed with cards like Winona, Lance, Skylab, Teammates, and Raihan. Keep in mind that just because these Pokemon knocked out last turn effect cards are powerful doesn't mean all are. Number 2. Pokemon. Now, these Ken Sugimori dolls aren't the only powerful options at your fingertips. Pokemon tend to lend powerful, consistent strategies as well. I mean, just look at this busted normal GLC setup. Theoretically, with just these abilities, you could potentially see, carry the one there, drop the one, and play all the 9 cards from the top of your deck. That's more powerful than Sycamore. Of course, Pokemon with abilities that refill your hand pop up semi-frequently and require you to have a more aggressive deck that can whittle down cards from your hand every single turn to make it effective. Trade or trade-like abilities that require you to discard a card or specific card from your hand will always require you to have at least one card in hand in order to dig a little deeper. Let's take a little walk. There's a little side alley here worth exploring. Oh, River Room, my man. What you doing here? You aren't quite like Radiant Greninja. Discarding a specific type of energy only to potentially draw a couple of cards is quite bad. I mean, look at Salazzle. At least she has a boost to the type of trade that makes sense with her ability being locked to a single type of energy. You, my machine man, do not make middle GLC decks work. I am waiting for something stronger to potentially appear. Till then, I am never putting you in. Of course, Pokemon abilities are not only locked to drawing cards. Some have specific search capabilities as well, but honestly, many are locked to a specific archetype. And that usually covers what abilities can do. Setup attacks are only worth it if they do additional damage, or have a call for family function that fills up a bench really fast. Bonus points if you can use it going first. These call for family guys only really work in evolution decks and are typically the littlest guys in the bigger price formats, so keep an eye out for those when you build your stage 2 decks. Before we leave here, let me make a very simple point clear. Just because your main attacker has a decent-ish search ability doesn't mean you should solely rely upon it, otherwise you may just end up bricking. Number 3. Items. Of course, item cards are the glue that hold together many decks and make Pokemon the trading card game, along with supporters, one of the fastest deck churning card battlers out there. The majority of your item cards will be dedicated to consistency, say 60 to 90%. Not only can item cards serve as a free search with heavy restrictions, but oftentimes are the best type of recovery, allowing players to freely be aggressive with the types of cards they discard, knowing that in the back of their mind discarding their last boss was worth it because they play a copy of Palpad. Some of the best examples of item consistency are Pokemon Search. Ultra Ball has almost never been out of print since being introduced back in black and white, with Great Ball having an even richer history, even though originally it was played like Nest Ball. Though not always needed, energy search and recovery is often best left to item cards, with energy retrieval and energy search always lurking in the backdrop. But you should only play those cards in energy aggressive hungry decks, and even then there is usually a better option in format. The leftovers. Stadiums and tools are rare when they get consistency options. They do pop up then and again, with what I feel stadiums getting the better part. Lots of stadiums are limited in what they can search, but typically get a lot of prints that are really good for setting up. The only trick is that you paid $100, give your opponent a better hand too. Tools are touch and go. EXP share and other similar cards lets energy stay on the field, but not too many decks care about that. The new technical machines have the most potential, but unless they're getting used going first like a call for family attack, it can waste a lot of momentum and give your opponent time to catch up. Tools are typically best used when giving a damage or HP buff, but I will admit from time to time, there can be really good consistency helping tools. And that's a wrap. End production, slap your deck together, and you're ready to go. Need a little more guidance on your deck building? Here's my deck building guide. Otherwise, I will see you guys all in the next video. Bye!